Well, hi, and welcome to unit number 4 on the Introduction to Interpretation course. Unit 4 is all about Tilden, Tilden's interpretive principles. When I took my very first interpretation course back in about 1976, the only book on interpretation that was available was the one by Freeman Tilden, Interpreting Our Heritage. And on the handout sheet that I have attached for Unit 4, there's a link to Amazon, so if you want to buy it. I think it's only about $12 or $13, so it's important for any library. But Tilden's principles are the foundation of what makes the message interpretive. It is how the message is organized, what comes first, and how do you get people's attention. The principles he put together come from marketing and advertising, consumer behavior, psychology of the audience. And they're the very same principles you see on TV for TV commercials or in advertising and magazines. So interpretation, is kind of the yin and yang of advertising. So the principles are pretty clear and pretty simple. We kind of gelled them down to be Tilden's interpretive tips. The first one is provoke attention and curiosity, relate to your audience through analogies and metaphors and similes, reveal, have a, oh, I didn't know that, at the end of your presentation or at the end of your writing. Address the whole, that means be sure your program has a theme that is illustrating. And message unity, using the right vocabulary, the right teaching aids, the right design colors, so that the interpretation kind of fits. So if we were leading a hike out in the forest someplace, an interpretive vignette might go something like this. Wow, you are the luckiest group I've had on one of these hikes before. Because right here on the side of the trail, I found the skull of the most vicious, the meanest, the hungriest animal of the forest. Fortunately, it's pretty tiny. But if it was bigger, if it was as big as a German Shepherd, it would need to eat 500 pounds of meat a day to stay alive. So if each you weighed 100 pounds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you 5 would be gone by the end of the day. He would find you, and he would eat you. Well, fortunately, it's the smallest of the animals of the forest. And I told you it needed to eat 500 pounds of meat because I told you it needed to eat 374 grams of meat a day. Unless you were a cocaine dealer, you wouldn't know what I was talking about. Of course, unless you have an interpretive walk that is designed for cocaine dealers. So we have to use the analogy to relate. The revelation is, you ask people, any ideas of what this incredible creature might be? No, well, this is the skull of a shrew. The most dangerous, the most vicious, the meanest animal in the forest, size by size. And for your kids, if you wondered how much it would eat if it was as big as a German Shepherd, or if it was as big as a kid, if it was as big as you, imagine a whole wall of Big Mac hamburgers, hundreds of Big Mac hamburgers. And what you would do is you would sit down one after another and you would spend your day eating Big Mac hamburgers. So our next stop on the walk is the Shrew grocery store. I hope you brought your coupons. We're going to find out what shrews like to eat. And I brought some shrew food with me. These are my silkworm pupas. So each of you will have the chance to eat what a shrew might be eating this very minute. I hope that gives you something exciting to look forward to. So we know that shrews are a very tiny but powerful animal in the forest, and now we're going to find out where they live and what they like to eat. Okay, so there's our vignette. We had provoke, relate, and reveal. Now usually when I'm doing training, I ask people what was the provoke, relates, reveals. Well, the provoke was, you didn't know what I had. And I try to use provocative language. It's the most dangerous, the most vicious, the meanest animal of the forest. That was a provoke. Also talking about how you're going to be eating some silkworm pupa at the next stop. That's a provoke too. The relates are the analogies. If it was as big as a German Shepherd. And for you kids, it would be a whole wall full of hamburgers. Those are examples of the relates. And the reveal is the fact that it's a shrew skull. So there's a very simple example of how in an interpretive walk you could use provoke, relate, and reveal. I hope that helps. On the assignments, there are 3 assignments. The first one, and I've given you an example of how interpretation was used in a couple of different settings. One is an interpretive panel, and it's pretty good, and I'd like you to point out for me on that panel where the provoke, relate, reveal is used. And then there's another assignment where I'd like you to write 50 words where you're interpreting something. I gave you an example if you wanted to interpret a pen, like a fountain pen. But you can pick whatever you want. You could pick glasses, or you could pick a stapler. But I want you to pick an object that you have an interest in and write 50 words, just about 50 words, that show me provoke, relate, and reveal. And that's your assignment. We spent a little more time on this one because this is the foundation for everything else that's going to follow of Tilden's interpretive principles. So if nothing else, remember, provoke, relate, and reveal. And I'll reveal more to you when we get to unit number 5.